Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a deadlift day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click a like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. Let's get over to the training. In keeping with what I said I'm going to do, my ramp up sets are heavier so that they count as true work sets, because again, fives with 75%, we are getting at least one effective rep in. So I'm doing, as far as my training max, I'm counting 605 as the training max for the deadlift. Doesn't matter that I've hit a true max of 625. 605 is a good training max in my training cycle. So I'm doing 75, 80, and then 85% of that. And I did a +1 on the 515. So I went ahead and got 6 reps. And today I did something a little different. I am realizing something I have to pay attention to is my hamstring recovery. I noticed when I did glute ham raises, on Tuesday after squatting, I did not get the same hamstring cramps I do after deadlifting. The deadlift volume and then GHRs after my hamstrings just simply cannot handle it. I'm concerned with recovery issues when they're cramping that bad, because sometimes when I've done that recently, I occasionally get cramps the next morning still. And if we're cramping in a muscle like the hamstring, it's hard to function. So if my GHRs probably need to stick to squat days, and I need to keep deadlift days pretty well limited to just pulling volume and reverse hypers. And I love to finish the week off with the reverse hypers. And I feel like they've contributed massively to my deadlifts. You know, people will say silly stuff like, well, you change accessories. Well, of course I do. They act like that's a negative thing for some reason. But reverse hypers have been a mainstay in my deadlift training for years now. And I do believe they have contributed, at least to my recovery, maybe if not directly to the strength. So afterwards, I did 4 sets of 10. Normally, I did 5 sets of 10 last time, but I noticed now that I'm doing the heavier ramp-ups, I get 2 more real work sets. I noticed I was running out of steam on that 4th set. I was noticing my low back pump getting pumped a bit, starting to get real fatigue, and I'm like, well, I need to pay attention to that. Stop one short. I'll build up to it. I think I'll get used to this, just like I'm having to do with squats. I think I will get used to doing the 3 heavier sets and then the 5 back off sets. But again, it might take a couple weeks. It's going to take me a little time to adapt to that. But the other thing to think about as we did it, if you start doing the math, we did 7 sets of deadlifts and 5 sets for reverse hypers. That's 12 sets for look back in the same training session. That is a lot. It really is. And I'm going to limit my real low back training to once a week because it's a strong point for me. I am super strong on reverse hypers these days. My low back is strong. I just needed to get trained and then to recover. And I like ending the training week with the reverse hypers to get good recovery from my low back, and then not have to worry about my low back recovering from a squat day when I go into deadlift, because I'm also doing standing rows now on my upper days. You know, that's enough. My low back is getting more than enough. So I need to watch those things on the recovery end. I do need to be careful of that, because there is going to be a little bit of fatigue from that, but I don't need as much low back direct training anymore. Because again, 7 sets of deadlifts on Friday and then 5 good sets of reverse hypers with the tonnages that I'm moving on all of it, that's a lot of low back training. And again, a lot of people note low back recovery can limit training in general. So I think it's one of those things that hitting it hard once a week will be enough, because it still gets secondary stress on my squat days, on my rowing, on all my other days. There's still some secondary stress and possible stimulation of it. Right? We may be getting some adaptative stress on those days. All right, and after I did these, we'll talk a little bit about it. I went ahead and tried the axle bar cleans. The first set was so awkward because I didn't warm up. I just went straight to these plates and said, let's just work on this. Let's just jump right in and do these. And I'm finding, again, I probably need that wider grip. I need a wider grip on them. And I noticed that even compared with the other cleans the other day, I need that wide grip. And it has to do with my long arms, like something I've noticed. And if I ever want to try to get into a proper rack position with the elbows up, I'm going to have to go super wide. Because I've checked in the mirror and I've looked at my levers, my forearms. Look at my forearm. Like, this is one reason I'm a good deadlifter. My forearms are really long. A lot of people are like, oh, you can just, I'm like, no, I can't just rack. Like I've checked it when my elbows are up, my hands are behind my neck. You see the problem with that? So I've got to have the wide grip to offset that. And like for me to possibly get into a proper rack position, I don't know. I might almost have to snatch grip it because I'm pretty wide here. And obviously my elbows don't come up real high even then. But I'm not worried about it. These are muscle cleans. And that first rep was terrible, by the way. And it's comically bad because I haven't messed with this. And I'm turning loose at the top and letting it drop. Now, some people say, what about the floor? Guys, I have a really, really thick deadlift platform. Like, you guys have no idea how much is put into that. But it is very, very safe on the floor. So, the thing is with these, yeah, I'm turning loose of them at the top. The grip and forearm on this was insane. So, again, we talk about a grip training tool. This is one reason I said I wanted to try them this way. All right, it's forcing me to be explosive. It's training an explosive movement pattern, full body explosiveness, grip and forearm were intense. Like this is just as intense as those axle bar rows. After every single set, like I had a forearm pump. A couple of the sets, if you guys saw that I couldn't quite finish, like on the 5th rep, I think maybe like the 2nd set, it's because the forearms were starting to cramp up there. I have to get used to it a little bit. But we talk about adding something to my arsenal. This is fun. And this is grip training. Like, and it's different, like, because the other rows, it's a little more volume. This is having to deal with a ton of force because of the force production involved, because you're exploding quicker and then having to deal with that fat bar. Wow. And so I think with a little practice, because some of these sets were better than others, I will get better and better at these. I like these. I feel like these need to be a staple in orc mode training, particularly given the grip elements. Because people always ask me, it's like, should we be doing all this grip work? I get clients, some of these kids, and I'm like, quit wasting your time with silly grip work that's fatiguing you, that's not doing anything else. Like one of my kids, I want to do barbell holds. I'm like, if you have axial loading to stand there and hold a barbell, we could do other lifts that train your grip. Like we're losing training effect and you're just beating up your recovery. You guys want to do stuff like that. This is a perfect example. This is a phenomenal grip and forearm builder. You guys saw that set there, that one. That was, again, me not being able to hold it coming up at the top. It was slipping out of my grip, so I couldn't catch it. All right, this is grip training, but we get an explosive component to it, and it builds your upper back and yoke. Right, this still builds your upper back and yoke. Orc mode. Again, this, when I think of, again, when I use the term orc mode training, this is the sort of thing that really comes to mind. Love it. And this is fun. This is an exercise, I think with practice, I'm going to get a lot better at it. I'll be able to start using more weight. And I can already tell while doing it, the grip and the forearm development from it is going to be, again, a whole new training stimulus. All right. This is going to help my deadlift in that regard because, again, it's going to bring up that upper back, bring up forearm grip. That'll bring up my bench, too. Because, again, what do we know? More upper back. I need thicker, stronger forearms. Will improve my bench. Give me a better support for my benching. Because we need that support musculature, not just primary movers. And, again, it's fun and it's different. Because I do so much stuff that is basic that this is different. But really, if you think about it, how much more basic could you really get, though? In a way, even though it's not one we think of as a classic thing, we're just cleaning up a thick bar. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of strongmen do that too, though. That falls into strongman training. But I can see why they do it. But a lot of them do like a mixed grip. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Like that's an exercise like a lot of people would say, oh man, this is like it's going to be brutal. Well, it is tough. Like the forearm, again, the forearm pump is pretty intense, but it's just kind of fun. It's like, wow, this is fun. There's a little bit of skill and timing I've got to learn. And it's, again, adds a new training dynamic, a new training element. And then we finish off the week with reverse hypers. I squeezed out 13 on the last set. I'm like, oh, these don't feel really, I've got reps in the tank. Let me take it out a little further. And I got 13. I probably need to bump the weight up. And I think the difference here, if I don't do glute ham raises in between, like I don't deadlift and glute ham raise and go to these, performance is a little better. So I probably need to bump the weight a hair again on these. So I'm doing 280 for 5x10, but I got 13. So again, puts my back into traction, builds the low back, builds the glutes, some secondary stress on the hamstrings, but it's a great recovery tool. So then my weekend that's off from lifting and it's just cardio and abs, conditioning work and abs, I go into that with my back having that restoration from this at the end of the week, right after deadlifting. So it really helps a lot with the recovery on deadlifting. It's one reason I love this. It takes a lot of that beat upness that you get from the deadlifts out. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.